Josh Dahlke from ScoutLooksWeather.com is an avid outdoorsman, but was surprised by the deer density in Texas.
I've never whitetail hunted in Texas before. This is my first time. I'm kind of a Midwestern guy, born and raised. I do a lot of whitetail hunting up there. So you can sit days on end up there quite often and not even see a deer, especially if you're not doing the right thing. But you come down here and it's just a whole different world. Generally you're seeing a ton of deer, you're getting a lot of opportunities, and you get to kind of, be amongst the whitetails in a way that you don't get to experience up north. When you're around that many deer, you get to kind of get in their world, witness activities, and kind of melt right into the scene and see things that you've never even seen.
Josh's particular hunt, he was set up in an area that's been pretty game rich, all summer long and into the early fall. Lots of scouting camera pictures in and around that area. Even some rogue exotics showing up in there. So it's an area that we knew had some pretty good, deer coming in there. And we really didn't know what was going to show up because we were in such a wild and ever-changing, pattern of weather here. From the big rains, now it's a high bluebird sky, to the winds changing and everything. But what we did know was that area held a lot of big bucks.
First morning, I had no idea what to expect. Coming down here to Texas from Minnesota, just everything from what kind of deer I wanted to shoot to what kind of deer were even going to be available or what to expect. I mean, as the sun starts to come up, you're sitting there in the darkness, you don't know what's going to come by, and all of a sudden deer start filtering in, and lo and behold, a pretty nice looking buck showed up that first morning. What do you think about it? Oh yeah, I definitely want to shoot that deer. I was never able to get a shot off on him. About 12 to 15 sets of eyeballs caught me all at the same time, and they blazed out of there. That evening, came back to the same blind, hoping that 10-pointer would show up. He didn't, but just kind of like a repeat, another big deer showed up. Did you see him? Was that even him, or is it a different one? It's a giant. When I saw him, it blew my mind. I mean, there were other deer already out in this pasture, and as soon as he stepped out, it was like night and day. He was a beast, tall tined 8-pointer, and immediately I knew that I wanted to shoot that deer. When you got probably a dozen deer and maybe 10 turkeys standing out in front of you, some of the most paranoid wildlife on the planet with some of the best vision and most keen senses, and they're all standing out there right in front of you, it takes everything you got to not lose it. And my heart was coming out of my chest. I was just trying to keep my composure. I was trying to not shake too bad. Even though I had a good shooting rest on the window of that blind, my reticle was still bouncing around a bit, so I had to gather myself before I finally squeezed that trigger. Ready? Thank you, Lord. I just shot the biggest whitetail of my life in Texas. Coming from the Midwest, where it's kind of known as the land of giants, there's a lot of big deer up there. I didn't expect to come down to Southwest Texas and kill a deer this great. So seeing that tall tined 8-pointer, especially when I finally walked up and was able to put my hands on his antlers, I couldn't have been more thrilled.
Congratulations, Josh, on a great Texas whitetail buck.